I was a 32-year-old construction manager from Seattle when my life fell apart. Jessica, my fiancée of 5 years, was everything I thought I wanted. At 29, she taught elementary school with a passion that made me fall for her instantly. We had been planning our June wedding, even put a down payment on our dream house. My younger brother Troy and I had always been close despite our different personalities. Looking back, I should have noticed something was off at Thanksgiving dinner. The way Jessica tensed when Troy walked in, how my mother Patricia seemed to watch them with knowing eyes. Before I continue this heartbreaking story, let me know where you are watching from in the comments. If you have ever felt betrayed by family, hit that like button and subscribe. I graduated from Washington State University with a degree in construction management and secured a job with a reputable firm right away. My career was stable and growing when I met Jessica at my college friend Mark's backyard barbecue. She was wearing a yellow sundress, laughing at something someone said. When our eyes met across the lawn, I felt something shift inside me. I introduced myself, and we talked until everyone else had left. I asked for her number, and our journey began. For 5 wonderful years, Jessica and I built dreams together. We supported each other through everything. When she struggled with a difficult principal at her first teaching job, I encouraged her to apply elsewhere. When I was passed over for promotion, she reminded me of my worth and pushed me to keep trying. Our relationship felt unshakable, built on trust and mutual respect. I proposed on our 4th anniversary at Canlis, her favorite restaurant overlooking Lake Union. I had arranged for the staff to bring the ring with dessert. When she saw the diamond twinkling under the restaurant lights, tears filled her eyes, and her yes came without hesitation. That night we stayed up until 3 a.m. planning our future children's names and dreaming of growing old together. House hunting became our weekend activity. We finally found a craftsman-style home in Ballard, with a yard large enough for the golden retriever Jessica had always wanted. The mortgage would be tight, but we believed in our future together. The selling point was the nursery space upstairs that Jessica immediately envisioned, filled with a crib and rocking chair. Growing up, I had always looked out for Troy. Being 2 years older, I protected him from neighborhood bullies, helped him with homework, and taught him to drive. Even as adults, we maintained our bond. I helped him get his first sales job at my friend's dealership. We met for beers weekly and texted constantly about everything from sports to relationship advice. When Troy and Jessica first met, they were politely distant. Over time, they developed what I thought was a friendship. Jessica would tell me how Troy had called for gift ideas for his girlfriend, or asked for advice about career moves. I was happy they got along so well. Family harmony was important to me. The first warning signs appeared about 8 months before our wedding date. Jessica became protective of her phone, turning it face down when I entered the room. She started working late more often, claiming parent-teacher conferences or staff meetings. Most concerning was how frequently Troy's name appeared in our conversations. Jessica would mention something funny he said, or reference running into him downtown. I brushed off my unease, chalking it up to wedding stress. Last Christmas, we gathered at my parents' house. While helping my father build a fire, I noticed Troy watching Jessica as she arranged cookies on a platter. His gaze lingered longer than appropriate, and when she turned, their eyes locked momentarily before both looked away. A cold feeling settled in my stomach, but I dismissed it. Troy had always respected my relationships, and Jessica loved me. My mind was creating problems where none existed. Wedding planning seemed to drive a wedge between us. Jessica claimed the stress was affecting her sleep and mood. She became distant, less affectionate. When I asked if everything was okay, she would smile tiredly and assure me she was just overwhelmed with details. I believed her because I wanted to. In February, I planned a surprise weekend at the Olympic Peninsula cabin we loved. Jessica canceled 2 days before claiming a mandatory training session she could not miss. I was disappointed but understanding. Later that week, when driving Troy's car to help him move a couch, I found one of Jessica's distinctive turquoise earrings in the console. When questioned, Troy explained she had borrowed his car the previous week when hers was in the shop. The explanation made sense, but doubt had taken root. Valentine's Day should have been special, but Jessica seemed distracted throughout our dinner. She checked her phone repeatedly and barely touched the expensive wine I had ordered. When I presented her with a bracelet I had saved for months to buy, she teared up. At the time, I interpreted it as emotional happiness. Now, I recognize it as guilt. My growing concerns led me to confide in my friend Daniel over beers. He suggested I might be overanalyzing due to pre-wedding jitters. Many couples experience stress before marriage, he assured me. The doubts were normal, the distance temporary. I wanted to believe him. After weeks of tension, I initiated a serious talk with Jessica about our relationship. Sitting at our kitchen table late one night, I asked directly if she was having second thoughts. Her eyes welled with tears as she took my hands. She promised nothing was wrong, that she was just overwhelmed with work and wedding details. She loved me, she insisted. We would get through this rough patch. I believed her because the alternative was too painful to consider. Everything changed the day I came home early from work, hoping to surprise Jessica with takeout from her favorite Thai restaurant. Her school day ended at 3:30 and she was usually home by 4:15. At 5:30 she was still absent. When I called, she claimed she was at school grading papers. The lie hung between us, though she did not know I had already discovered it. While Jessica showered the next morning, a message notification lit up her tablet on the nightstand. It was from Troy. The preview simply read, "We need to talk about telling him." My hands shook as I entered her password, the same one she had used for years, our first date. The messages confirmed my worst fears. Their affair had been going on for 6 months. What broke me was discovering they had been intimate in our bed, the very place we had planned our future children. When Jessica emerged from the bathroom, I was sitting on the edge of the bed, her tablet in my hands. She froze water dripping from her hair onto the hardwood floor. I asked one question. How long? Her denial lasted seconds before crumbling. Through tears, she admitted everything. The affair with Troy, the secret meetings, and the final blow: she was 8 weeks pregnant with my brother's child. Jessica removed her engagement ring, placing it on the nightstand with shaking fingers. She claimed she never meant for this to happen, never meant to hurt me. She and Troy had developed real feelings, she said. The pregnancy was unplanned, but now they wanted to build a life together. Each word was a knife to my chest. I found Troy at his apartment across town. When he opened the door, his face showed he knew why I was there. My fist connected with his jaw before either of us spoke. As he staggered backward, I followed him inside. His pathetic excuses about their real connection and how they never planned this made me sick. When he said they had tried to fight their feelings, I nearly hit him again. Instead, I told him he was no longer my brother and walked out. The following weeks passed in a blur of pain and isolation. I took 2 weeks off work, ignored calls from family, and drank more than I should have. My apartment, once filled with photos of Jessica and me, became a mausoleum to broken dreams. I could not bear to remove her things, yet their presence was constant torture. Patricia called repeatedly. When I finally answered, her words stunned me. She expected me to be understanding about the situation. Troy and Jessica were in love, she said. The baby deserved a family that was not fractured by resentment. She reminded me I had always been the strong one, implying I should sacrifice my feelings for Troy's happiness. Her betrayal was almost as painful as theirs. 3 weeks after my world imploded, my mother insisted I attend Sunday dinner. Jessica and Troy would be there, and Patricia wanted to begin healing the family. Walking into my childhood home to see them sitting together on the couch where Jessica and I had once curled up during movie nights was surreal. Jessica's hand rested protectively over her still flat stomach. Dinner was a farce. Patricia fussed over Jessica, asking about morning sickness and prenatal vitamins. Troy sat beside her, occasionally touching her hand or shoulder, with nauseating intimacy. Then came the announcement they were engaged and planning a quick wedding. My mother beamed with happiness, while my father stared at his plate. No one acknowledged the elephant in the room, that the bride had been my fiancée mere weeks earlier. After dinner, my father James found me alone on the back porch. His discomfort was evident as he expressed sympathy for my situation. Then came his request, would I try to keep peace in the family for everyone's sake? The baby would be his grandchild after all. His weak attempt at mediation only deepened my sense of betrayal. My sister Laura was my only ally. 2 days after the disastrous family dinner, she came to my apartment with beer and pizza. As we sat surrounded by moving boxes I had begun packing up my life, she raged against our mother's behavior. Laura had confronted Patricia about her blatant favoritism and callous disregard for my feelings. Our mother's response had been telling Troy has always needed extra support, you know that. Bob has always been the strong one. In our mother's eyes, my strength was reason to wound me further. A month after our breakup, I saw Jessica at a local coffee shop. She was wearing the bracelet I had given her for Valentine's Day. For one foolish moment, hope fluttered in my chest. When our eyes met, she quickly covered the bracelet with her sleeve. Later, Troy told me she wore it because it matched her outfits. The casual cruelty of this explanation left me breathless. Troy called one evening drunk and emotional. He attempted to explain their relationship again, how it had begun innocently and grown into something neither could deny. Then came the request that convinced me our brotherhood was truly over. He wanted me to be his best man. The audacity stunned me into silence. I hung up without responding and blocked his number. The final breaking point came at our mother's birthday dinner. I attended only because Laura had begged me, promising to run interference. When Jessica arrived wearing our grandmother's diamond ring, now her engagement ring, something inside me snapped. This family heirloom had been promised to me for my future wife. My mother had clearly given it to Troy for Jessica. During dessert, Patricia proudly announced she was planning Jessica and Troy's wedding at the family home in the garden where she had always envisioned her sons getting married. She described the June ceremony in detail, from the flowers to the menu, without once glancing in my direction. It was the same month Jessica and I had planned to marry. I could no longer contain my anger. In front of everyone, I confronted my mother about her betrayal. How could she celebrate the relationship that had destroyed me? How could she give grandmother's ring to the woman who had cheated on me with my brother? The restaurant fell silent as I laid bare the family secrets. Patricia's response was that I was causing a scene. I left without looking back. 2 weeks later, an embossed invitation arrived in my mailbox. Troy and Jessica's wedding announcement, with a handwritten note from my mother. I expect you to attend and support your brother on his special day. The casual cruelty broke something fundamental in me. I called in sick to work and did not leave my apartment for a week. My turning point came unexpectedly. While forcing myself to get coffee one morning, I ran into Sarah Peterson, a college friend I had not seen in years. She noticed my disheveled appearance and hollow eyes. We sat together as I poured out my story. Sarah listened without judgment, then shared her own experience of betrayal by her sister and ex-boyfriend. Her perspective was like oxygen to a drowning man. Sarah helped me realize something important. While I could not control others' actions, I could control my response. She suggested I start therapy, something I had always dismissed as unnecessary. Her gentle insistence that seeking help showed strength, not weakness, finally convinced me. The following day, I discovered the venue Jessica and I had selected for our wedding was now booked for hers and Troy's ceremony. They had taken not only my future, but were systematically erasing and replacing the past we had built. This discovery should have destroyed me again, but something had shifted. My first therapy session was uncomfortable but revelatory. Dr. Winters helped me express the full extent of my pain and betrayal. Not just from Jessica and Troy, but from my mother, who had enabled and encouraged their relationship. Years of Patricia's favoritism toward Troy had culminated in this ultimate betrayal. The session ended with homework to consider what I wanted my future to look like. independent of my family's expectations. That evening, my work supervisor called with unexpected news. Our company was expanding to Portland and needed someone to head the new office. The position would mean a promotion, higher salary, and most importantly, distance from Seattle and all its painful associations. For the first time in months, I felt something like hope. Laura helped me pack up my apartment the following weekend. Finding Jessica's forgotten belongings, scarves, and books, and the coffee mug she had used every morning was like reopening wounds. Laura suggested returning everything rather than discarding it. Closure, she said, required facing pain rather than avoiding it. When I arrived at Troy's apartment with a box of Jessica's things, he was alone. The confrontation I had avoided for months finally happened. Without the heat of fresh betrayal, I could speak clearly about the depth of his betrayal. His revelation stunned me. Our mother had actively encouraged their relationship behind my back. Patricia had told Jessica that Troy had always loved her from afar, that they deserved a chance at happiness. While this did not excuse their betrayal, it contextualized my mother's behavior. As the wedding date approached, I faced a decision. Should I attend briefly on my terms, making it clear I was there to support our father and sister, not to bless the union? Or should I spend the day doing something meaningful for myself, refusing to participate in the spectacle of my pain? Dr. Winters helped me see that either choice could be healthy if made for the right reasons. The important thing was reclaiming my agency in a situation where I had felt powerless. I chose not to attend the wedding. Instead, I spent the day hiking Mount Rainier with Sarah, who had become a supportive friend. As we reached the summit overlooking the vast landscape of my home state, I realized I was ready to leave. I took the job in Portland and scheduled my move for the following week. That evening, I wrote letters to both my parents. To my father, expressing love but disappointment in his passivity. To my mother, establishing clear boundaries for our future relationship. Portland offered the fresh start I desperately needed. My new position challenged me professionally, while the unfamiliar city forced me out of isolation. I found an apartment in a historic building downtown, decorated it without a single reminder of Jessica or my past life. Weekly therapy sessions with Dr. Winters continued via video chat, helping me process the complex layers of betrayal and family dynamics. Setting boundaries with my mother proved difficult but necessary. Patricia called frequently at first, acting as though nothing had changed. She spoke of Troy and Jessica's married life, the upcoming birth family gatherings I had missed. Each time I calmly reminded her that while I wished them no harm, I was not ready to hear about their lives. Eventually, she learned to respect these boundaries, or risk no relationship at all. Healing came gradually through unexpected channels. I joined a local hiking group, making new friends who knew nothing of my past. These relationships, built on shared interests rather than shared history, taught me how healthy connections should feel. I volunteered teaching construction basics to at-risk youth, finding purpose in mentoring others. 6 months after my move, Troy called from an unfamiliar number. His voice sounded strained as he admitted their rushed marriage was struggling. Jessica's pregnancy had been difficult, their financial situation tight. He did not explicitly ask for reconciliation, but his tone suggested he missed our brotherhood. I listened without interrupting, then told him I wished them well but could not offer more than that. When he asked if I would be involved in my nephew's life, I declined beyond basic civility at unavoidable family gatherings. Some betrayals cut too deep for full restoration. A year after leaving Seattle, I returned for Laura's graduation celebration. Seeing my parents' house, the sight of so much pain felt strange but no longer devastating. Patricia approached me cautiously, our relationship now formal where it had once been close. She had aged noticeably, the strain of maintaining appearances taking its toll. For the first time, I felt compassion rather than anger toward her. Her favoritism of Troy had damaged both her sons in different ways. Sarah and I had stayed in touch after my move, our friendship gradually deepening into something more. Unlike my relationship with Jessica, built on youthful passion and shared dreams, this connection grew from mutual respect and understanding of pain. When she visited Portland for the first time, the comfort of her presence in my new space confirmed what I had begun to suspect: healthy love was possible after betrayal. At the family Christmas gathering, Jessica approached me while I helped in the kitchen. Her attempt at apology seemed genuine if inadequate. She spoke of regrets and poor decisions made in confusion. The baby, now 6 months old, slept in the next room. I found I could look at her without the crushing pain that had once defined my existence. I wished her well, and meant it not for her sake, but for my own peace. The most profound lesson came gradually understanding that my mother's favoritism had never been my responsibility to correct or compensate for. For years I had tried to be perfect, strong, and independent to justify her unequal treatment. Now I recognized that her behavior reflected her limitations, not my worth. This realization freed me from patterns of people-pleasing and excessive self-reliance that had shaped my adult relationships. I began to redefine family on my own terms. Laura visited regularly. I maintained limited contact with my father, who made efforts to connect independently of my mother. I built close friendships that offered the acceptance and support I had always craved from my family of origin. These chosen connections proved more nourishing than blood ties tainted by betrayal. 18 months after their wedding, I heard through Laura that Jessica and Troy were struggling financially and emotionally. The passion that had seemed worth sacrificing everything for had faded under the pressure of parenthood and financial strain. Troy had lost his job, Jessica resented, giving up her teaching career to care for their son. Learning this news, I was surprised to feel neither satisfaction nor sorrow, just genuine indifference. Their story was no longer part of mine. The journey from devastating betrayal to genuine healing taught me that authentic connections must be built on respect and integrity, not just shared history or blood relation. I learned to trust my instincts, set necessary boundaries, and value myself enough to walk away from toxic relationships even when they came wrapped in the package of family. Most importantly, I discovered that forgiveness does not always mean reconciliation. Sometimes it simply means releasing the burden of anger and moving forward unburdened by the past. Have you ever had to rebuild your life after a betrayal from those closest to you? Share your experience in the comments below. Sometimes, knowing we are not alone in our struggles can be the first step toward healing. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more journeys of overcoming life's greatest challenges. Remember that the family we choose can sometimes be more supportive than the one we are born into. Thank you for listening to my story, and may you find the strength to create boundaries that protect your peace and relationships that honor your worth.